Looks like we are live.
We're live!
Oh,
Yay!
hey. We're live talking to ourselves for the moment until people actually figure out that we are on live. Man, I love this. I love this live stream thing, I gotta say.
Yeah, so I'm here in Vancouver, Canada, and it's only noon, and Dave is over there in the UK, and it's 8 p.m. at night, and so that's kind of fun.
Yay. So, welcome, guys. Let us know who is on. And I can see Steph and hey, cool. Who else am I seeing? I thought I was seeing.
Oh, lots of people are buying copies of the book. Thank you, you guys. It just arrived.
Where are you seeing those comments? How come I'm not seeing those comments? Huh.
Oh, here in StreamYard. And for those of you interested, we're using this really cool platform called StreamYard that lets us stream on a few different locations. Oh, Ula's here from Copenhagen.
Hey, Melis, how are you? Welcome to the call.
Hey, Melis.
Great stuff. I'm excited. Man, that is so great. Look at the way those comments come up here. Yeah, we're kind of experimenting with this technology. So, hey, so far, so good. Can you guys hear us loud and clear?
Yeah, let us know that you can hear us.
And hear us okay. Ula has just bought the book. Wonderful. Excellente. Yeah, we are so excited. Can I tell you? Did I tell you how excited we are?
We are so excited. This was like 9 months in the making. We started in January in Hawaii.
In Hawaii, yeah.
On a walk on the beach, we just said, let's write a book together and bring all our tools, like all my feminine coaching tools and all his masculine coaching tools.
That's like, do it now. Get down to the gym, do the squats.
And then, you know, some people have babies. We have books. This is our little book. Our little book that is our baby. And so creativity, right, is the combining of the opposites. So
yeah,
that's a big part of the book.
Steph has said we are crystal clear. Hey, Yvonne from Stockholm. Guys, if you are on Facebook, show the love. Hit that love button. Hit that share button. Let people know we are here. We're going to really give you some great information. If you are just about to read the book, then we're going to really teach you some concepts from that and allow you to dive deeper into it as well. So, yay. There you go. Katarzyna says, hey, guys, so great to see you both on the same live.
Yeah, so good to see you too. Very cool.
So
lots of familiar names here.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to
a few times.
I'm going to share the screen. So we
have Katarzyna originally in London, actually, at one of our events.
I remember. Yes. Yeah. Very cool.
So, yes, take it away.
Yeah. So we wanted to really just tell some stories from the book and some exercises and cool things that you could do. Even if you don't get the book, just to give you a sense of what it's about, because it's very, very practical oriented, but it's stories, right? It's MindStory. And I think
what you mean don't get the book, you will get the book no matter what.
You must get the book.
Hey, Arlene, great stuff. Yeah, go. Sorry. We will interrupt each other, by the way. We've given ourselves permission to interrupt each other. So there you go.
So it's the 5-step Avara self-coaching model to overcome limiting stories so you can grow yourself and your business fast. And we find, like sometimes it's great to go to a coach, but what if, sometimes you just need to coach yourself in the moment. And so it's like there's your issue self, and then there's your coach self, and you get into your coach self and you can get yourself out of a mind pickle
exactly
with this focus.
Yeah, and you know what I love about the model we come up with? What we did is we kind of looked at all of our careers, 20 years each. That's 40 years of experience, right? Dealing with thousands upon thousands of people, both individually and in groups. And we wanted to really pinpoint exactly what was working for people. and the model that we were using at times unconsciously, and make it more conscious, and be able to take people through that. And I think the wonderful thing about it is you hear all these kind of, I guess, advices on the 21 secrets here, and the 60 secrets here, and the 99 secrets to success here. And if really I was put in a corner, and Carla, to really condense it into 5 steps, if there was only 5 things that you really needed to know, it would be these 5 things. It would be acceptance, it would be vision, it would be action, it would be reprogram, and it would be attention. And if I say so myself, I mean, this is a very smart model, because you can actually run any issue through it consciously. And when we do deeper coaching with people, then there's a deeper, much deeper layer to the whole thing. So these are the steps that, even if you take each one individually, I'd say if you have the vision, that invincible vision, if you have that acceptance understanding, accepting that your mind operates in a certain way, that your thoughts create your reality, that your thoughts create every single feeling that you feel, and that precedes your actions. And obviously, you've got to take action towards where you're going. But even things like procrastination, right, is a freeze action, right? So take the component of reprogram, which a lot of coaching, quite frankly, leaves out. But to reprogram your mind and get the goals that you want into the deeper unconscious mind, for me and Carla, is a game changer as well. And then, that word attention is really, really important, because you've heard the saying, where attention goes, energy flows. So, in the model that we coach you on, you'll notice that you'll be able to ask yourself, where is my attention going right now? Is it going towards the solution and where I want to go? Or is it, like most people, going and focusing on what I don't want to create and what I fear? And you'll see that if you go deeper into it, when we're coaching people individually, for example, and doing blueprints, how many people listen to the blueprints? Let me know, let us know in the chat. But you'll notice that attention allows you, is the key to actually using more of your mind. Neuroscientists say we're using 5-10% of our mind. That's what allows you to go deeper. Robert Longley, so excited that you've got the book. I can't wait to hear how you get on. And I know it is going to be life-changing, my friend. Great stuff.
And thank you for all the lovely congratulations. It's so sweet. It's really, love all your support, you guys. It's so
It
great.
is. By the way, I warned Carla, as I warn everybody when I'm on a live, I do get silly, and I do have kind of like characters, like, Arnold Schwarzenegger will come out every now and again, or Yoda might make an appearance. I make no apologies for that, because when I'm coaching, I like to have fun. Okay. And I hope you like to have
We
fun.
both like to have fun.
We're both very
Yeah.
playful. Okay.
And just so you know who this is for, is like, if you have any kind of business, or you're in any kind of leadership role where people are coming at you with all their issues, or you're dealing with clients, you're trying to enroll people, you're trying to be a beacon of hope and inspiration for others, and your mind is getting in the way, and you're getting in your own way, this is who it's for. So we just want you to know that there's a system and a process that's tried and true, like literally 40 years of testing, that's really, really, really
Yeah.
powerful. And do type your questions into the comments, by the way.
Do. Haley, hey, Haley, great to see you. Hey, Louisa, all the way from Denmark. Wonderful. That's not a Denmark accent, I know. Sorry about that. So, yeah, and like Carla says, well, it is, for people in sales. I know we'll have a lot of network marketers tuning in. We'll have educators, experts, speakers. Some people are all of those, okay? But it's, anybody who wants to fulfill their potential and feels like there's someone holding them back, something holding them back. This is for you, my friends.
So we just be curious. Type yes into the comments if you do think that you sometimes sabotage your success. If you do, it's totally normal.
Yeah,
It's
I bet you're not
really
saying, no, that's not me. I don't sabotage my success.
and it's quite shocking. Like we deal with people who are just starting out, and people who are mid level, and some people who are super successful, and they all do it, right? And we do it at times too, and you have to catch yourself and go, wow, that's not helpful the way I'm thinking about this, the way I'm interpreting this. And yet to get your survival subconscious mind to operate in a different way requires quite a bit of practice and building of the muscle. So it's definitely something that the more tools you have, the better, right? And so this is another tool that we know a lot of you love these kind of tools. So I think you'll love it.
Absolutely. And thanks for the participation, guys, because as you type in various answers and everything, and you participate, you trip that neuroplasticity switch. So yes, if you are ready to really take your game to a whole new level, both reading the book and listening to us now and diving into the complementary neuro blueprints, which I'll tell you about later on, and when you're going to get those, which will be very soon, give us a heck yeah in the chat there.
Yeah. So if you haven't got the book and you want to get like a digital version of it, you can go to mindstoryacademy.com/book. And you can get an EPUB, which you can put in iBooks, like on your tablet or your phone, or the PDF's good for the laptop. And if you go there, mindstoryacademy.com/book, it's only $7 US for a limited time, for like a week. And then you also get these 2 bonus neuro blueprints: Your Hero's Journey, which is based on chapter 10 of the book, which is a blueprint that I made, and How to End Self-Sabotage, which I think is chapter 3, done by Dave, total value of $94. So you get those free if you want to go there and get the book.
Can I just jump in and say, I know some of you have the MindStory blueprint course already and might have those blueprints, but we'll be sending you different blueprints. So don't worry about that as well. Okay, I'll let you know about that.
Yeah. And if you want to go to Amazon, we'll post the Amazon links too. So like some people, they want like a Kindle or the paperback. And so you can go there and just email us your receipt, and we'll make sure you get those 2 sample neuro blueprints as well. And then, that you'll get those as well. Now, if you're in the UK, I'll let Dave talk about this.
Well, yeah, I know a lot of people already who are in the Book of the Month with Barry will have received their copy. And I know from a lot of people today, we've, got tons of you already jumping on and ordering from Barry, getting your paperback copy. And then obviously you can jump onto Amazon and get the Kindle if that's what you prefer, for $7.99 UK. So yes, excellent, exciting.
Yeah, and we'll put the links somewhere in the comments as well. So and then you can get the Kindle on Amazon as well. So let's talk about the Avara model. And so we'll love you to dive in there and start playing around with it with your own mind, because it's quite an elegant model where you have the masculine side and the feminine side. And you kind of go through this process of acceptance, vision, action, reprogram, attention. And it sort of creates this alchemical process where the dualistic sides of our nature come together, and in that process you create your life, right? You create like a better business, more finances, better relationships, better health. It's that place of moving from stuck to the burning of the creative fire of who you are. And so we're just go through with some examples so you kind of get a sense of how it works. So for example, you'll see in the book, like there's 5 places for you to kind of go through in the book, and you can fill it out in the book or on paper, and you'll just kind of think of an issue, and you could be thinking of an issue right now that you might want to apply this to, and then you'll just break that down into facts and separate out what's your story from what are the facts, which many of you know is one of the most important and powerful mind tools anybody could ever have.
What's an example of that? I mean, just, like, I know people can get emotional and say, okay, how do I separate my issue from
Well, here's an
Um,
example.
oh, there you go. Perfect. Oh,
So
by the way, Katarzyna loves the colors of the logo. Really cool. I think it's a great logo personally as well. Louise says knowledge is king. They ship to the rest of Europe. Barry and Paolo, they ship to Mars. I mean, they go everywhere. Okay, so Haley is ordering hers tonight. Heck yeah, awesome. Sorry, jump in.
yeah, so say your issue is I'm overwhelmed because I have so much to do this week and not enough time. So here's the biggest mistake most people make is they think that their negative emotion is caused by an external circumstance, like all the things on your to-do list, but it's not. Who here knows what your overwhelmed mindset is really caused by? If you have an answer, you can type it into the comments. It's actually caused by your interpretation, not by
Or your
what's out
meaning.
there. The meaning you're giving it, the meaning you're giving your situation. So if you were to break that down to facts, and this is like me coaching myself, right? I was like, 2 weeks ago, I was so overwhelmed. 4 speaking engagements and 6 client meetings scheduled this week. Normally I have less than that. So I'm thinking I must be overwhelmed because I have all this stuff. Like one must be overwhelmed if one has a lot of things on their task list. But if you just put it as, okay, what exactly is on my task list? It's neutral, right? It's neutral. It doesn't, everything else, like I'm overwhelmed, it's stressed, I'll never get it done. That's the story. And if you can separate the two out, you're 10 times ahead of everybody else. And that's when you can start to get control back of the story. And so then you just want to go through the limiting story with the 5 things. And so the first one being acceptance. And there's a way to fill it out. You'll see that in the book where you kind of go, I'm feeling, and then your emotion, your negative emotion, like overwhelmed. And you have your reason, I have so much to do this week, which is not really true. It's your interpretation. So then what you write is, I'm making this mean, and you answer that question. So then you just dredge up all the stuff that's usually in your subconscious, like, I might not get it all done, or I might not get it all done in time in a good way. I'll come across as sloppy. I'll seem unprepared. I'll lose business, right? The catastrophizing mind. If you get it out down on paper, it starts to pull it from the subconscious into the conscious. And that's where you can start to kind of go, wow, is that really a useful place for me to focus my creative energy? Then on vision, you just answer this question. What is your possible future a year from now if you live from this limiting mind story? So my answer was burnout, because I used to live like from that place all the time. In the first 5 years of my business, I completely burned out. I couldn't keep going with my business. And now I'm far more busier than I was back then. But because I switch out of that mindset, as soon as I catch it, I don't go into burnout. But if you live in that place all the time of the survival brain, always, oh my gosh, it's really hard on your health. So I know that. And this is reminding me that my thoughts, my feelings create a future that I might not want, right? So in the action part, you'd say, what's an action or inaction taking place because of this limiting mind story? So I'm just noticing, right? I'm jumping from one thing to another. I'm not completing any one task. So if you've ever noticed yourself when you're overwhelmed, you're just kind of a bit frazzled and nothing really gets done. It's actually one of the least productive mindsets that you could
Yeah, you
have.
kind of do a lot of things poorly, don't you?
Yeah, it lowers your performance because you're in your survival brain and you're not in the wiser part of your brain.
Exactly.
Now, the reprogram is something you don't see in a lot of coaching models, and we think this is a huge part that's so important. And this is where you sort of take yourself into the present moment. So you ask yourself, what's a recent event or experience that triggered this issue? Like, why am I bringing this up? And if you say it in present tense, it's very useful. I'm looking at my task list and not knowing where to start. So often overwhelm creates inertia, right? And you'll see why we're going to use all this on the empowering side. So the last one on the limiting side is attention. What is the limiting self-talk? And this is where you really want to include anything silly or unlikely or mean-spirited even, because this is the deep stuff looping in the background that you need to bring to your conscious mind and transform. And if it stays back there, like I don't want to admit that I think this way, it's harder to shift it.
This is where my brain character, I call him Veteran Limbic, who likes to come in. He's the meanest member of my committee. He'll kind of waltz in and he'll kind of go, "Oh, you fecker, yeah." I don't know why he's Irish. "Oh, you're a complete loser. Well, who do you think you are, to try and be in control of your life or whatever?" And straight away, I'll have these committee members trying to talk me out of my greatness.
Or mine sounds like my mother. "You're so disorganized and lazy. You'll never get any of this done." And like anyone in your life that's sort of in there, right? So you can just bring them to the front and go, "Oh, thank you for sharing." And you don't have to fight with them, but you want to put it, kind of in front of you. We have lots of crows that
Is that
are
the crow? I was just wondering. I miss the crows and I miss my seagulls there. I can't wait to get back. I'll be back there in a couple of weeks.
We're in a penthouse, so there's just lots of birds, and so whenever we're on a call, they all want to come right to the window there and say hi.
Especially when I'm doing blueprints, when I'm doing a live blueprint, they always seem to want to look in the window, knock on the window, and then really start screaming. The crows and the seagulls, especially the seagulls.
Yes.
Anyway, I digress.
So once you get all that down, and you'll see in the book how it's side by side, which is kind of cool. When it's side by side, you can look back at what you said on this side of the page, and then you can sort of do a turnaround on it. So on the step D is the empowering, and then you just kind of play with your mind here. So under acceptance, I've chosen to feel, and then you'd want to do like the opposite of overwhelm. And for me, that was like clear and calm. And this reminds you that you have choice over how you feel if you change your thoughts. And so that reminds me, of course, I can choose to feel clear and calm because I can change my thoughts. And I change my thoughts by a better meaning I could give is, and then just write down whatever comes to mind, that I will probably get it all done because I usually do, because I can delegate some of it, because it's okay if it's not perfect, because I'll come across good enough and I'll likely gain business anyways. Right? So it's like the good coach comes forward. And then in the vision, now you just want to say, what is your possible future a year from now if you live from this empowering mind story? So likely health and a thriving business. Like the more I can stay in calm and centered like that and clear, the better my business does. They're so linked. It's 80% of success in any business, and we forget that. And then the actions are, well, what action could you take to move closer to this vision? The vision I just said, health and a thriving business. Well, then take more time to prioritize and delegate. Like I was forgetting to do that, right? It's like, duh, right? Often you wake up your brain and then you're like, of course I know what to do here. And then the reprogram is interesting. Again, you want to go into the present tense. So you go back to what you said before. I'm looking at my task list. And you do the opposite. I'm knowing exactly where to start and getting into action. And because I'm going to take that new action, right? And then the attention is a more empowering self-talk using a progressive affirmation, which some of you are familiar with, like every day in every way, I'm more organized, more prioritized, more action-oriented.
My favorite progressive statement, day by day, guys. I want you to type in as you're listening to this, day by day, you're getting better and better. Day by day, I'm getting better and better. So if you are wanting to get on the phone and you want to overcome procrastination, or you want to do what Carla's saying there and get out of overwhelm and be more relaxed and calm and centered day by day in every way, I'm becoming more organized. I'm becoming calmer. I'm becoming more confident. I'm becoming more action oriented. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. And that alone, it's just like you're priming your subconscious mind, and whatever you prime it with, it'll go, oh, okay, now we're going in this direction of organize and prioritize. And so then you take specific next actions. And so breaking down your bigger action, okay, I'm going to list out all my tasks. I'm going to prioritize and add them to my calendar, which took me like 10 minutes. As soon as I did that, I was like, oh, this is great. Overwhelmed, down, clear, calm. It got all done. So something like that only has to take like about 10 minutes, right? And the biggest thing is just to start with the issue versus facts, and then to accept your negative state. And a lot of coaching models don't teach that. Like they kind of want to jump you to the positive right away. And if you haven't really explored the limiting and owned it and processed the emotion of that, you can't go on the creative journey. It's like fuel going into the car, right? Where it needs to go through the combustion engine and that moves the car. But if you try to kind of jump over the acceptance, it doesn't work. And so Dave's going to talk a little bit more about the vision part of the model.
I am. And just before I do that, Steph is getting better and better day by day, as is Carol. Milena is getting better and better day by day in every way, as is Caroline, as is Luisa. Awesome, guys. That's all I can see right now. I know there are more. And I think that's a really important point there, that Carla is saying. A lot of people don't want to process the emotion. They want to, it's almost like put a sticking plaster on a hemorrhaging wound. But if you sit with it and process it, that's a very important part, to accept where you are. But then, also to accept that, when you think when you process the emotion and then you think a thought that supports the direction that you're going in, that makes you feel good, then it can lift you out of that. And, you start to move towards creating what you want. And that's where the vision comes in. And again, like I said in the beginning, if I could take out the 5 key secrets to life, that acceptance is the first one, that you have to accept. Whatever is going on with you, you own that emotion, and you can take control of your thoughts. You can take control of your emotions. And if you do that, then you can decide whether it serves you or not, to hang on to whatever thought and emotion that you're feeling. And then you can make that switch. Okay. And you can say, okay, that's not serving me. What's going to serve me here? The thought of, hey, I'm a go-getter. Of course I can make those calls. Of course I can jump on the phone. Of course I can follow up with people. And you get a really good feeling to go with that. And it changes the energy in the situation. For lack of vision, the people perish. I know for a fact this has completely changed my life. For those who don't know my story, I, at one point, worked for a company. I was their worst salesperson. I lost the most amount of money. I held a record for losing the most amount of money. On top of that, I wanted to become a speaker, and I couldn't string 2 words together. It was when I say I wanted to become a speaker, initially I said to myself, I would rather die than speak. And, through using what we're talking about here, these 5 points, I was able to become the best salesperson in my company. I was able to hold the vision of what I wanted to achieve. And I had a vision for so many years of doing what I'm doing now, speaking to thousands of people worldwide in live events, online, coaching, speaking. And what I want to talk about in terms of vision is, most people, in my experience, think way too small. So whatever you're thinking now, even before you dive into the book, I would be prepared to at least double the goals that you want. In other words, if you want a certain level of income in a year, double it, 5x it, 10x it if necessary. Okay, because it has to excite you. We tend to think in terms of what we believe is possible. We tend to base our decisions based on our past, and we stop creating and we stop growing. And it's funny, because people will often stop me and say, Dave, I think it's very unreasonable and unrealistic of you to tell people that they can achieve the impossible, that they can achieve huge things. And I'm like, really? Unrealistic? Are you kidding? I think it's highly irresponsible to tell people to play it safe. I think it's highly irresponsible to tell someone, oh my God, no, there's no way that you can dream that big or make that amount of money, in your company, with your project, with your opportunity. So I know Carla is the same. We'll never change our stance on that. Okay. We'll never soften our message and say you should be a bit more realistic. Can you imagine Edison or the Wright brothers saying, let's be realistic? We wouldn't be flying in airplanes, and we wouldn't have the light bulb. So, maybe we should all sit down and complain a bit more and whine a bit more. Well, doesn't everybody do that? People are moaning their way through life. And, if you're bemoaning the journey, then I think that's one of the things we look out for when we're coaching people. And there's a lot of work to be done, and we won't take on board people if they're constantly bemoaning about the journey. Okay. But smart, safe goals activate only a tiny amount of your power. They never tap into the imagination or the human spirit. There is a magic of thinking big. And by the way, when we're talking about this part of the model, in the book, you'll see you can open up various chapters, and there's a chapter on the magic of thinking big. There's a chapter on how your thoughts create your feelings, create your reality. There's a chapter on how to protect against bad energy. There's a chapter on how to visualize properly, on how to end self-sabotage, on how to fail forward, and how to overcome fears. So there's something for everyone here. But I always say to people, look, there's a magic to thinking big. And that's what I want to ask you even here now. What would you go for if you knew your success was guaranteed? If you knew you couldn't fail, what lifestyle would you be living? If you were to drop yourself there now, what would that look like? What would that feel like? What type of home or homes would you be living in? What cars would you be driving, right? What legacy do you want to leave? This is the way you need to be thinking, especially when, let's say, you want to make 10 phone calls in a day, and you're getting no after no after no, and you're getting disappointed. Then you've got to be able to lift yourself out of that and connect with this higher vision, right, of your legacy, how you want to contribute, the difference that you want to make in the world, the difference that you want to make to your family and friends. You want to secure your children's future. How much time off do you want every year? The vision, when it excites you, and it's got to excite all of your committee members, okay? Even the committee members that kind of go, and the ones I mean, right? It's like having a team member and you ask them, how are things? And you were sorry you asked. And they kind of go, oh, not very good. I don't seem to be signing up any customers. Nobody seems to be joining my team. I think it's to do with Boris Johnson. It's his fault. Or it's Donald Trump. It's Brexit. It's the weather, right? You've got to get the moaning mind cells who normally just kind of are in this state of apathy, who've no interest in your goals. You've got to get them on board. Because when you excite all of your mind, when you get passionate, and there's something extra that becomes available. And that's the great thing about having an invincible vision where there's no doubts whatsoever. Something extra comes in, right? Something magical comes in, and it really is electrifying. And you're like tapping into a superachiever mindset at that stage. And then when you actually get clarity on your vision and the goals that you want to achieve, then you've got to be completely detached from the worry of that. Okay, so you learn how to do that. You learn how to, because you got to relax a bit about it. You got to relax and start to enjoy the journey. There's no point in going around, and saying, okay, I've got my list. I'm about to jump on the phone and make all these calls to grow my happy business. Okay. As soon as you kind of get desperate about it, your goals are going to be repelled away from you. As soon as, like Carla said earlier, as soon as you put your emotional life in the hands of an external circumstance, then you're going to feel out of control. You're going to feel overwhelmed. But if you relax and you know what, this vision, it's happening regardless, and you're managing your emotions and your thoughts that are creating those emotions, like Carla said there, a lot better. And then you're going to be fine regardless. There is so much freedom in that. And if you were then just to show up in a state of service where you're saying to yourself, you know what, I'm just going to show up to see if I have the solution to the types of problems that people have here. I'm going to show up and I'm going to leave people better than I found them. Then there's a completely different energy about it. And I want you to type in, guys, into the chat there. When you think of your big goals, when you think of 10xing your income, when you think of 10xing the results in your life, why not me? Key in, why not me? Because why not you? right? Because your committee members will always try to talk you out of your greatness, but there's this higher part of you that really steps in. And, we'll talk about again how you move towards that vision step by step. Well, Carla's going to talk about that in the next part, in the action part, in the do it now action part, you guys. Caroline says, why not me? Steph says, why not me? Louise says, why not me? As does Caroline, as does Lila is loving it. Excelente. Wonderful, guys. Thank you for your
And
feedback
Yvonne.
and participation. I
Yeah.
love that. I love that image, by the way.
And if you ever kind of wake up in the morning and you sort of feel like you catch yourself worrying, think of one goal that you'd love to have and then ask yourself, why not me? And it would be amazing just to see, like I noticed my entire nervous system just completely feels better. And so action is really interesting. Actions, and people forget this, actions are totally caused by your feelings. And people think, oh no, it's your willpower that causes your actions, but that's not true. Your will is driven by how you feel. So like, why not me is a driver, and I don't think it can ever happen to me, kills your action, right? And I know we know that intellectually, but if you can catch yourself and see the connection over and over and over again, it starts to rewrite the neural pathway. Like, okay, I'm just not going to think that way anymore, right? Because the feelings are caused by the interpretation. The interpretation. What's the interpretation, right? And so that's why sometimes you can't change your feeling in the moment. You have to change your interpretation of the situation. So I'll just give you an example from my life, which is I had felt very strongly about a certain vision, but I just couldn't see myself there. I had come from a family where, it was broken home and there was lots of fighting and there was lots of financial difficulties, and I was dyslexic and I didn't have very high self-esteem. My mom left and my dad didn't know how to raise kids, and he sort of left me to my own devices. And because there wasn't a lot of money, I took all these part-time jobs as a teenager just to be able to pay for clothes. And I was feeling very kind of victim-y about my life at the time. But then this whole thing changed when I got this job as a banquet waitress at a conference center, and I got to see speakers. And at one time, it was all men speakers, but then this woman got up at this conference, and it was really interesting because I'd never seen a woman speaker. It never would have occurred to me to have a job like that. And it was about the environment. And so, the first speaker was this corporate guy saying, yes, we're going to fix the environment. And everyone was sort of a bit turned off by him, and he was kind of boring. And then the second person was like a social activist, and they're raising their fists and blaming the corporations. And so it got people attention more, but it was sort of negative. And then this woman comes up and she's got this book called If You Love This Planet. And it was like totally different vibe. She was small and she was quiet and she stood behind this podium and she was really sweet natured. And I thought, oh, I can relate to her, right? Like I was always trying to be like my mother. My mother was very bold out in the world, and it just wasn't sort of my style as much. So I thought, oh, here you can be effective as this quiet kind of woman behind the podium. And she told stories of how people were getting to action with community guides and making a difference because they love the planet, not because they were hating and blaming somebody else about what's going on with the planet. Let's band together. Let's work together. And it was this whole different paradigm of possibility. And I got super excited. And I noticed that everybody else, right? I was supposed to pour coffee. I had this little black and white scratchy uniform, and I had the nursing shoes, and I had my coffee. I'm trying to pour people's coffee, and they're like, no, I got to pay attention. This is so important, right? Everyone was transfixed. And when she finished, everyone rushed her. And I thought, wow, what did she do that made everyone so much more interested? And she ended up being an international speaker on that subject for like 30 years or whatever. And so it was really exciting to see that possibility for myself. And I made this strong decision about my vision that day. I thought, well, that's what I want to do. And it probably affected 1,000 other decisions I've made since then. And so I kind of thought, okay, I'm going to get summer job that involve, public speaking, and I'm going to talk about like empowering topics. And then I discovered I was really bad at it. I was just my shyness and my nervousness and the dyslexia, I couldn't remember anything. And I thought, I'm going to write a book, but I was dyslexic, like I've since written 6 books, but at the time I just thought there's no way actually I can do this career. I'm just not that type of person. And so I thought, well, what do you do when you have psychological issues? Go to a therapist. So I went to a therapist and I thought, okay, this is going to fix it. But all she had me do was rehash my past and what was going on in my family and all the negative things that I was dealing with. And it just kind of made me feel more defeated, and it kind of reinforced all that stuff. And then I met someone who today would be called like a performance coach. And she was all about kind of like what Dave and I were talking about here, let all that stuff go, clear it aside so the true creative self can come forth. And then you just sort of naturally do these things that are your life purpose if you can get the stuff out of the way, if you have a system. And so because I had been focused on, oh my gosh, I'm going to be so bad at this is going to be bad, I'm going to fail like all the time in the background, that's what I attracted. And it was getting more and more humiliating. And so I decided to no, I'm going to focus on imagining the possibility that I could be good at this. And the strange thing was, even though I wasn't there yet, imagining myself there, I started to think differently, which is I started to go, maybe I should get someone to help me with public speaking. Maybe I should get someone to help me with my material. Maybe I should get some help for the dyslexia. Maybe I should, and and then maybe I should start my own business and get some marketing help. And so all of a sudden, I'm just out there in the world, getting all the help that I need and putting stuff out there and getting that performance coaching as much as possible. And I would say that there's this big turning point for me because I learned how, when I spoke, to not look at the people. Some of you may have experienced that, who don't look like they're into it, where they're looking away or they're scowling or their arms are across their chest. And I would look at them and start to feel insecure about that. And then what I'd learned to just do is put them aside and focus on the people who seemed really into it. And then just focus on serving people. And it doesn't matter what people think. This was a huge turning point for me. So I was doing that. And then this woman walks in and she sits right in the front row and she's got this huge scowl on her face. And she's kind of writing notes and looking at me and looking like she's hating it. And I couldn't not look at her because she was right there. But I thought, you know what? I'm just going to keep doing this. I'm going to focus. And then it ends and she comes up to me and she says, "Hello, my name is Rose Lieberman and I'm a speaker agent. And I thought you were fantastic, and I'd like to represent you."
I love that voice.
And she was, "Yeah, I'm from New York, and, we need people like you." And I was like, "Really?" She said, "Yeah, that was so funny." And I was like, she didn't laugh once, but I later learned that she always looked at speakers that way because that's, she's in an analytical mode. Would I represent them? How would I sell them? She's not,
Clearly she didn't tell her face, huh?
She forgot to tell her face that it was funny. Yeah, that's right. And so it was so interesting, and if I had let her face affect my confidence, she probably wouldn't have come up to me afterwards and say, "Yeah, you're great. I'm going to represent you." And she did represent me. And then my career took off after that. And so I just it's so important. And there's so many little moments that, and I could see in my past that I missed out on a great opportunity because I was letting my interpretation of what I'm seeing and hearing, affect my performance. And that little shift over is massive in terms of results in your life. And so, after that, I started helping my colleagues who said, "Oh gosh, I need that help too," and so started coaching, and then met Dave, and he was coaching on the same thing, and so we started, helping people together and combining our model, and it's kind of gone from there. But action is so important, and the reason we put it in the middle of the model is because a lot of models will wait till the end, like, okay, you fix your mind, get into action. But we say get into action in the middle of the process, get feedback, and then go back out there. And then, which brings you to reprogram, which Dave is going to talk about.
I am. Great stuff. By the way, guys, how we doing? How we doing? Give us a thumbs up or give us a high five if you are getting value or enjoying this. Congratulations to Lila. Book ordered. Yay. Malena says, amazing. I have a guest who just wants to pop his head in and say hi. Ah, yes, there it is. My favorite.
Our guest speaker.
You've got to unleash your inner Yoda, and, after listening, Yoda, to Carla talk about action, what would you say to that? Try not, do or do not. There is no try. Ha! Wise words, Yoda, wise words. Thank you. So you just sit there and you can kind of just, hold the energy, hold the space. What we always say in our coaching, when we're coaching, teaching people to coach as well as their own coaching sessions, is you got to hold the space. So Yoda is saying, hold the space. Malena has ordered her book. Fantastico. So I love reprogram. The word reprogram, as Carla mentioned earlier, you can just, literally take yourself back to a moment where you were freaking out, for example, and notice how you were programming yourself in the moment, and what you're saying to yourself, and what you were conveying across to your subconscious mind. And then you can turn that around and say, okay, in a similar situation the next time, how would I show up? And you do a little mental rehearsal on it. So this whole area of reprogram, hugely important, because we are programmed really for mediocrity. It's like, for example, when I talk about vision there, right? I noticed before in my life when I really started to think about my purpose and my vision, and I couldn't remember even get up on stage and speak without, being the deer in the headlights. Okay. I just wouldn't be able to do it. I had to fail forward so much to do that. But every time I thought about my vision and speaking in front of people, part of me would get excited. That's your frontal lobe. But then this other part that I call kernel amygdala, which is your fear center, would literally go, danger, danger. Do not take these actions. Do not become a speaker. Do not put yourself out there. Do not jump on the phone, because we are on the course for mediocrity. Stop, danger. And, this part is our primitive brain that gets completely freaked out. It wants to hide under the covers. It wants to go back to the cave. And that's why we're always saying to people, most people are way too stressed out to actually succeed at the level that they should be. And being stressed is a habit because of that primitive side of us, because of that part of our brain that just kind of goes, and wants to distract us in any way that it can. Often we say, oh my God, I have to get stressed out. I have to get freaked out in order to really get productive. And all the research shows that you become less productive when you get stressed out like that. And your brain tends to just loop on that, right? So when you start to reprogram your mind for success, when you start to change what we call your autopilot at the deeper level of your mind, that's when the magic starts to happen. So, when you watch what you're saying to yourself, when you watch, the bad programs, the bad thoughts, the bad vibrational state that you're getting into, and then you want to get on the phone and you want to close the sale per se, or you want to open a relationship or whatever it is you're doing, not very conducive to success, right? And now there is, of course, and Carla mentioned it earlier, a necessity when you're growing, just to jump in, take action, feel the fear, and do it anyway. And the reason for that is the science shows that as soon as you set a big goal, you get the dopamine rush, you get excited, your frontal lobe, the CEO of the brain, is going, yes, right on, we can do this. But as I mentioned, in a split second, then your committee members can start to distract you and the fear center lights up. So you got both things going on. You've got this flood of cortisol chemicals going through your system, this stress hormone. But a lot of people stop and they procrastinate when they could literally just train themselves, like Carla was saying there, just to jump in, take the action, feel the fear, and do it anyway, as the book says. And that is necessary. And I had to do that many times, and Carla had to do that many times, and you will have to do that many times when you actually have a big vision, So instead of being what happens to most people where they say, is it too difficult? Why does it have to be so hard? And they want to give up. Like, how many times have you given up on your dream, right? Because of those distractions, those committee members trying to talk you out of your greatness. And I think, the key then is you've got to have that willingness to fail forward. It's only a temporary failure. You've got to say to yourself, you know what? I'm going to take some action, even if it's the next step. I'm going to continue to believe in that impossible goal. I'm going to train myself to do that. When this stuff comes up, that's when you've got to do this inner work. That's when you've got to apply this Avara model. That's when you've got to reprogram yourself for success. That's when you've got to start to visualize yourself, overcoming the fear and doing it anyway. That's where you've got to visualize yourself jumping on a phone and connecting with someone. As I had to do, jump on the stage and, if necessary, make a fool of myself or feel embarrassed, be willing to feel the negative emotion and be willing to fail your way there. But most people give up at the first attempt. Often, if you've got a series of calls you want to make in the day, most people will make one call, get no response or a negative response, and then they'll give up, right? And you've got to go way, way past that. And that's where most of us land and why most of us stop setting big goals for ourselves, because we're talking ourselves out of our greatness and we're listening to the primitive brain and the committee member saying, oh, you should probably give up, And the point is, we always want evidence. We always want proof that something will work in order for us to believe in it. But it's the opposite, folks. You've got to believe it before you see it. You got to believe it before you achieve it. That is the mastery. That's the reprogramming aspect of it. You're rising above your current circumstances. When there's no evidence to support your dream, that's when you've got to believe. That's when you've got to rise above it and program yourself to keep going anyway. You've got to start to see yourself and visualize yourself and mentally rehearse showing up the way you want to show up. And when you do that, something very interesting happens. If you were to look at a functional brain scan, something amazing happening. You actually activate the motivational circuits in the brain. You actually quieten down the fear center. And you notice you can get the previously negative committee members on board with your goal when you start to visualize the outcome, start to see it as if it's already happened. It really is. As Melis is saying there, you got to believe it beforehand. You got to believe it. When they wrote Think and Grow Rich, and Andrew Carnegie spent 3 days and 3 nights talking to Napoleon Hill and explaining to him this formula for success, he didn't say believe, doubt, and achieve. He didn't say conceive, believe, stress, and achieve. He said conceive, really believe wholeheartedly, right? And I guarantee you, your dream will become a reality. That's how it works. The mastery is when the vision on the inside is more compelling than the negative circumstances or the lack of funds or, the lack of clients or, the lack of team members on the outside. Your vision has got to rise above all of that. And then that's when the magic happens, folks. Over to you.
Yeah. So that brings us to attention, which is the fifth part of the model. And as you've probably all heard before, where attention goes, energy flows. And it's such a huge shift over. And so say you wake up in the morning and you see your attention going to, oh my gosh, this thing I have to do today is going to be so hard. Or I don't like
It's gonna be
this.
so difficult.
And you hear the little inside complainer, like we all have it, right? We all have the little whiny toddler. It's just to not fight it, but just to kind of go, okay, let's bring our attention over here and give you something else to play with. I like to use the metaphor of a puppy, right? You know, say you got a puppy and the puppy gets your best shoe and starts chewing on it. And then you're like fighting with the puppy and it makes it worse.
Oh, your cat spills coffee on the computer.
Your cat spills coffee on the computer. Oh gosh, did that happen to somebody? Yeah, my cat used to do that walk along and then, yeah, exactly. But if you keep fighting with it, it'll keep doing it. But you give it something else, right? Give the puppy a bone. Here, go play with that. So you have to do that with your own brain. You have to refocus its attention. But first you have to find out what it's saying, right? What's it saying? And this is where like dredging up all the self-talk that we don't like to admit is going on. And get it on paper. That's why we have fill in the blanks processes in the book, because if you write it out, or you can use a separate piece of paper, you'll see it. And then it forces your neocortex to switch on and go, okay, that doesn't make any sense, really. Because a lot of it's silly, unlikely, mean-spirited stuff that you would never say to like a loved one or a friend. You would never say, oh my gosh, you're so disorganized. You're so lazy. You're such an idiot. And yet we say that to ourselves. And then that sort of inner toddler gets very shut down. And if they get shut down, everything else shuts down. They're like, they go on strike, and then you can't move forward creatively. But if you can take that energy as the raw fuel and put it into the mix, the limiting starts to go on with the empowering, and then they work together and create something new and different in terms of your forward movement. So that's what attention is about. And it's what you want to do in the empowering section is, if you just say an affirmation, maybe you've tried affirmations like, I'm organized, I'm a good person, I'm worthwhile. There's always this part of your brain that goes, really? I don't think so. And then you're into inner war. But if you say it as a progressive, as many of you know, it's like your brain your subconscious mind can't really argue with it, because it's like, well, every day I'm getting more organized. I organized my paper clips right there. See, I'm more organized.
Reorganize your paper clip drawer.
That's right. And so and eventually what you believe is what your reality becomes. So your training is like training wheels to believe what you want to believe, because the people who create their dreams believe that they were going to be able to do it before it actually happened, as many of us know. And so you have to almost trick yourself into believing, and then the external reality happens, and then it reinforces the belief. But what most people do is they wait till the external reality proves to them that something's possible, and then they'll take action. But that's not how it works. You have to believe, as Dave was talking about, that it's possible. Keep seeing yourself there. It's like a metaphor is like, there's this abyss, right? There's like all your limiting beliefs, and then your empowering beliefs, and then you throw a rope across, like a process like the Avarmal throws a rope across the chasm, and you have to go across the chasm, which is a bit scary and uncomfortable because we are addicted to our negative thoughts and emotions, and you have to sort of unaddict yourself.
I find that fascinating. We're totally addicted to them because they're chemically kind of flooding the system with those things, right?
Yeah, and if you're not flooding your system with that, your system feels like weird. Where's my fix of worry, right?
Yeah. We almost get addicted to everything from, oh my, it's like a pet you carry around. Oh my God, where's my kind of negative state gone? Where's my moaning kind of, state here?
Yeah. And so sometimes it's good to just practice. And I'll do this lying in bed sometimes in the morning. I just say to myself, who would I be? Which is a great, many people use this. Who would I be without that little worrying voice that I'm so familiar and comfortable with? And it's interesting, like I feel in my body this new personality kind of rise up. And so I have to sort of, it's like, putting water and sunshine on the flower instead of the weeds, right? And then it'll grow the more you keep imagining yourself there. And that's why we like the blueprint so much, is because it's that constant writing of the new neural pathways. So as a
Exactly.
reminder, you can go to the MindStoryAcademy.com /book and get your digital version right there, along with for only $7 for a limited time. And you get these 2 bonus neuro blueprints. Or you can go to Amazon and email us, and we will make sure you get that as well. And then you can also go to knowledgeisking.com or go to Amazon in the UK and get the Kindle there. So questions. Who's got some questions?
Any questions, folks? How we doing, by the way? If you are doing good, give us a fist bump in the chat there.
Oh, I love this comment by Katsarina. Yes, I remember. I'll never forget your storytelling formula you shared in London, and your memory imprint journals helped me so much to move forward. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, and we put some of that into the book.
Totally.
So,
there's a whole chapter on imprinting good memories as well, and obviously in the blueprint course there's a whole blueprint on that you do.
Yes, exactly. There's a whole blueprint on it to further, embody it, as it were. So we have a question here. Is it important to write out the Avara model exercise, or can you just do it in your head? So that's a good question. We find that there's this physicality of writing it that actually helps you switch the part of your brain that's operating. So that's why we're a big fan of writing it out. So definitely write it out. Is the MindStory Blueprint course related to this? Oh, Dave, you talk about that.
Yeah, I know a lot of you will. I know a lot of you from seeing here, but if you're on the recording, we do have a MindStory Blueprint course. Just people saying, "What the hell is a blueprint?" A neuro blueprint. They're audios that we invented, that we created, that show really the best of science and how to rewire and reprogram your mind for success. How many blueprint fans do we have on live there? Lila says, I wish I'd done this years ago. Yeah, but you're here now, Lila. I mean, I get that a lot as well from people. And, I think the great thing is you're in the perfect place at the perfect time now to make that jump.
And Melina just said something just landed. Thank you. Okay, cool.
So the blueprints we've used for years, that's been my and Carla's secret weapon, going way back when. We've had both very direct experiences, of reprogramming the subconscious at the theta state level, at the domain where the beliefs are stored. That is your deeper subconscious mind. Neuroscientists will always say that, we are governed by our 95% subconscious mind, and we're trying to live our lives through willpower in our conscious mind. So, these contain about over 10 different modalities to reprogram and rewire your mind for success. That's the reprogramming part of the model at the deeper level, where it's like visualization and meditation on steroids. But we are also using science because binaural tones, isochronic tones, all of these sounds vibrations going into the ear at different times have been shown to facilitate the brainwave state that is necessary to accelerate your success, to reprogram your mind for success, to overcome the limiting stories, to let go of the limiting beliefs, and to change your mindset, to change your habits, to take action. Okay, so again, it's a long answer, but I needed to explain that. But every chapter of the book, we have 15 chapters within the whole of our model there in the book, and we've done 60 blueprints, 4 blueprints with each chapter to help you rewire and reprogram. That is a separate course, right? That we'll put up a link later on, but I know a lot of you are already on that. But we have decided to include 2 of those neural blueprints for free, complimentary, with anyone who gets the book for a limited time. And yeah, how do you get that? Send in your receipt, right? So if you bought the book from Carla as a PDF version, or on Amazon for the Kindle version, or from Barry from Knowledge is King, then just email us the receipt. You can email daveoc2007@yahoo.com, or you can email Carla at MindStoryAcademy.com. And then, we will send you 2 complimentary neural blueprints, one from Carla on your hero's journey, one from me on ending self-sabotage. So that'll give you a taster, but it'll also really help you to integrate the learnings. So it's not just you reading, and we want you to write out the model, as Carla is saying, and practice it. But this is how you take your goals and you start to relax, like we said, relax away the stress. That is an option, folks, to be able to literally, do your work in the world, overcome your stuff, get productive and proactive, minus the stress, minus the worry. That is available to you. Those blueprints certainly, in a very direct way, help you to do that, because we both talk you into very deep levels of relaxation. Research shows if you can have someone guide you, beyond the threshold of the conscious mind into the deeper subconscious mind, then you're going to go deeper than if you're trying to do it yourself. Okay, so send in your receipt after you buy the book, email it to us, and we will send you the link for your 2 complimentary blueprints. And then it's optional if you do want to upgrade to the full blueprint course. At the moment, you can get it for £79, or you can get it for $97. Those prices are coming closer and closer together with the UK sterling and the dollar anyway.
And Melis,
yeah.
Yeah, Melis is saying, would we read the book from the beginning or anywhere in the book? Well, I would say how you read the book is I'm like a jump around person. I like to jump around and sort of like, oh my God, I'm feeling like I'm, sabotaging myself. So I'm going to go to chapter 3 and read the end self-sabotage. And then another day I'm like, I'm just feeling really confused today. So, or something happened that, I failed at something. Oh, I'm going to read the fail successfully chapter. And so that's a way to read it. If you read it from start to finish, you do get the, there is a cascading process, right? Where you do the acceptance, which leads to the vision, which leads to the action, reprogram, attention. So it is good if that you can sort of do the progression as well, but read it however feels most appropriate for you.
Yeah, I think that's an important point, because I think you'll have people who will kind of go, hey, I just need to take more action here. So I would just jump in and I would kind of say, yeah, I mean, you could literally, if you want a quick kind of booster, go to the action section, go to the part where it says, feel the fear, do it anyway, embrace the failure, jump in and go for it, and life will catch you type of thing. So I think it's a great point. But it's also awesome, as Carla said, to just read it from start to finish, because we have structured it in a very particular way.
Do you want to do a quick future self exercise? This is one of the exercises from the book.
Oh, future self. Yes. When I first started doing blueprints years ago, I had this coaching client, and she was doing very well. And as often happens, the children start to listen to the blueprints as well. They just kind of start to kind of sneakily, if my mom's listened to it, my dad's listened to it, I'll just get in on this as well. And Bridget called me one day and said, who you're called in our house? They call you future man. So I thought that was hilarious. And that's kind of what we're doing. And we're encouraging you to do here. A great technique to do here, guys. Um, think of a goal you want to achieve, right? Think of an exciting goal. And it could be a financial goal that you want to achieve between now and the end of the year, for example, right? Or sometime in 2020. But whatever it is for you, it could be you're up there on a stage and, having qualified for an incentive if you're a network marketer. But go to the future and have a conversation with the future you who has achieved this goal. Okay. And you can even, kind of, if you get a chance, you can even close your eyes and do it now if you want. Obviously, if you're driving, you're not going to do that. But it's a wonderful to do this, because what you'll find is there is a future you out there who has achieved every goal you've ever wanted. There is a future you out there who has fulfilled all of your potential, who's living the life of their dreams. And the first question to ask that future self who's achieved, let's say it's a financial goal, is just you ask your future self, how does it feel? How does it feel to be here? How does it feel to be you right now, having achieved that goal that had eluded you for so long? And listen to your future self. And honestly, it will respond. The higher part of you will respond. It'll say something along the lines of, well, it feels as if I arrived. It feels as if a weight has been lifted off me. It feels like freedom. There's so much choice from where I am now. Having this goal achieved, having this extra income, wow. The possibilities when I look out beyond this now are endless. And then you want to ask your future self, how did you do it? Or you can even ask yourself, how did I do it? And your future self will be there describing how you did it, that you had to think bigger, that you had to start to think the thoughts that supported the direction you were going in. You had to process all of your emotions and start to take control of your emotions. Your future self will start to say to you that you had to feel the fear, do it anyway, that you had to think and feel as if it had already happened, that you had to visualize yourself being where I am right now, that you had to, where necessary, take small steps, even if you had a bigger dream, that it was okay to start small, that you had to take always the next necessary step. Now, I'm only putting words to it as an example, but you'll notice that, when you ask your future self, it'll give you exactly what you need right now. Okay. And this is huge, right? Because, your future self will also say, which I think is really important, well, I stopped sabotaging myself and I started to really choose the thoughts and the feelings that were needed, that I needed to experience in order to become productive, in order to get more done in less time, in order to take the actions that I knew I needed to take, that I previously was procrastinating on. And I find that so fascinating that you can literally, right here, right now, get that, tune in to your future self, get the insights, get the information, use that, come from that space, that vibration where you're feeling lighter and you're feeling as if it's already done. And there's a completely different energy, right? And you'll even start to pull things in, attract a different type of person, different type of opportunity, just by changing your thinking, changing your vibration, just by having that contact with your future self. Does that make sense? If that makes sense, give us a make sense, guys, in the chat. It's very powerful.
And while you're doing that, I just wanted to give you another quick exercise. So whether you get the book or not, you have to do this little exercise with yourself. It's a game changer. I've done it with almost all my coaching clients, and I've seen them go from stopping themselves or just going for it in so many areas. And it's where you create a new agreement with yourself around failure. Most of us, what happens is that subconsciously we have this agreement with ourselves that if we fail, we're going to beat ourselves up and not try again. And we're not conscious of that, but it's just it's sort of that's what most of people tend to do, right? So if you decided that no matter whether you succeeded or failed, that you still had your own back, that you would still care about yourself, that you would still love and accept yourself and have compassion and kindness towards yourself in the face of big or small failures, that little shift over is massive, right? And you can practice it on little things, like you forgot to call somebody back, or, like you put a post up and it had a typo in it or something. You just notice what you say to yourself, right? It's like, oh, you idiot. Or do you go, oh, I made a mistake. It's okay. I'll just learn from it and move on.
What are you, an idiot? How dare you do that? Oh.
Yeah, like if you can shift,
committee members go on.
Yeah, if you can get the new committee member to have the dominant voice that says, it's okay, honey. You made a mistake. It's okay. I still love you and care about you. And if you can do it the little things, then what happens is then if you're going to put yourself out there in a bigger way, you're going to call like a high stakes person about something. You're going to put yourself up in front of a group of people. You're going to write a book and put it out in the world. You're going to start a business. You're going to, start a new career, transition your career. If that voice is saying, if you fail, you'll never, ever have my approval again, right? And that's what we do to ourselves, that inner parent to the inner child. You're just not going to take the risk, right? But if you make that agreement with yourself, okay, I'm going to take this risk. And if I completely fail, if I completely nosedive here, I am going to still care about myself. Even if everybody else is disapproving of me, even if everybody else is criticizing me, even if, the outside world just turns negative on me, I'm not going to turn negative on me. It's huge. And so in chapter, I think it's chapter 9, it's how to fail successfully. And in home play, at the end of every chapter is home play. So it's just my agreement around failure. And you can use this one or create your own. And you type this out and you put it somewhere and you read it like 21 times. There's going to be a chance that along the way of achieving my goals, I'm going to fail probably many, 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 many times. And that's okay. I'll still be supportive of myself and believe in myself. I'm going to treat myself with respect. I'm going to honor myself and my journey. I'm only human. I'm going to use those failures as an opportunity to learn and to be kind and compassionate with myself. I'm going to use them as an opportunity to love myself more instead of putting myself down. So I tell you, if you say that to yourself enough times, like 21 times, your courage in life goes up exponentially, because the whole reason we don't take risks in life and put ourselves out is not actually worrying about what other people will say or external things. We're most afraid of what we'll say to ourselves. That's huge, right?
Huge.
Just think about it. We're most afraid of what we'll say to ourselves, how we'll beat ourselves up and say, okay, I'm not going to try anymore. And that's the worst, right? So the cool thing about that is you have control, right? You can say, I'm not going to do that anymore. I will not. And you put a strong boundary down and you make that commitment super strong. And if we could see what was going on in your brain, we'd see this huge neural pathway being driven through your brain, and all the old stuff has to get pushed aside, right? And it's just like, I'm taking a bold stand for me. Everything else has no place here anymore. And, like it changes your brain and it changes the decisions you make on a day-to-day basis. It's really huge. So if you do nothing else out of this book or out of listening to this live stream today, do that for yourself. Take 10 minutes and do that. It's huge.
Okay.
So any last questions? Marlene says, I want to sack some of my old
yes,
some of my old inner committee members. Yeah. You can sack them. You can just say, you know what? You have not performed in the way that we think is useful to forward movement. So here's your severance pay. Bye.
That's right. Goodbye, detective. We are too focused for you right now.
Cool. And let's just see if there's other questions.
If I fall asleep listening to the blueprints, that's okay. Often you will, if you're listening to the morning and evening blueprint, you will fall asleep, especially the evening one. That's okay. It still goes in there according to the research. You're in deep delta when you're asleep, but you have to pass through what's known as the alpha state and the theta state. So it still has an effect. Obviously, we have, if you're getting the full blueprint course that we have, there's a daytime affirmations one that you can kind of listen to, which will not put you asleep. And there's a turbocharge one as well to put you in a peak state before meetings and things like that. And that will not cause you to fall. That'll wake you up and wake up your mind cells, okay?
So it depends on the day, right? Like you have the AM and the PM, right? That's what you get as part of the book, right? You can see which feels right. Somebody else says, what if I can't figure out what I'm feeling? Like, what are the interpretations driving the feeling? Well, that's why kind of writing it out. If you write out all your feelings, I'm feeling defeated, I'm feeling disappointed, I'm feeling angry, and then just let yourself go free form. At first, sometimes those little inner committee members, they don't want to be discovered.
Because they're hiding in the depths of your mind.
Because they might be fired. And so
they're like a golem kind of thing in Lord of the Rings, you know?
That's right. But
if Odette is watching the recording of this, she'll know to be able to relate to Gollum.
Yeah. And so what you do is you just keep the attention. That's where the attention part is like, I want to hear, what are you saying? And you have to kind of open up some compassion to those little inner committee members. Like if you fight them, they get stronger. So you kind of just get really, no, I really want to hear, like, why am I feeling so defeated right now? And then if you create a safe space, it'll come out. And then when you come out, you can say, okay, that's okay. I'm okay to feel this way. You really process the feeling. Let your body process it, because if you don't let your body process it, it'll get stuck and it'll show up as neck tension or stomach ache or a headache or something. But if you let yourself just breathe into it, feel it. So if any of you do yoga or meditation, they're always asking you to sort of breathe through the emotion until they go through the alchemical process and become the creative fuel for your life. If you can go through that, then, you're not going to do as much distracting activities in your life, whether it's, getting lost on Netflix or, overeating or whatever, that we do to distract ourselves, and just feeling those emotions, being okay with them. And then they transform, like go into them and then they transform, and then they're fuel for your creative life. If you can remember that, and then you won't resist it so much.
Cool. Okay. Well, I think we just need to wrap it up with a few things. Has this been beneficial for you guys? Give us some comments in there. Let's just tell you, you can get the blueprints. Just put that one back there, Carla. You can get all 60 neuro blueprints. I know some of you have done that. We've spent a lot of time just taking all the lessons from every chapter, creating a blueprint, 4 blueprints, like I said earlier, from each chapter in the book to help you to really integrate it. But don't forget, you can get an experience of that first with the 2 free neuro blueprints. Send in the receipt. I see Steph has just downloaded the Kindle version of the book. Yes, well done, Steph. Send in your receipt and we'll give you 2 complimentary neuro blueprints to really help you to rewire and reprogram yourself for success. And the offer for all 60 blueprints. There's a value of nearly £1,000 in that course, by the way. It's pretty comprehensive. We'll have that up for certainly a few more days. There's a timer on the page when you go there. Do you want to just mention Mike as well, Carla?
Yeah, Mike is now the reason we created Mike is because
Do you have a slide for that?
No. Actually, I don't, but that's okay.
What is Mike, first of all? What is Mike?
Yeah, so let me just put up a little banner so you can go there, and that is, for example, you just go to MindStoryAcademy.com and then just click join. And so what happens is that a lot of people, like, they'll do the blueprints and then they'll read the book and then they'll kind of go, I think I need more help on this. And maybe they can't afford a private coaching session. So this is sort of group coaching, but you do get some private interactive stuff with us, like 20-minute laser coaching twice a month. And you get accountability to show up with your goals. And so it's a place for you to bring issues and get some group community support. You'll get coaching from us in the group, and you can also get private. And there's also a place you can type questions in, like ask a question anonymously, and we'll answer you. And it's very powerful because there was this sort of gap between, we had all this sort of entry level stuff, and then we had the private coaching, which is really useful. So it's one-to-one, and it's very, very helpful to take this stuff deeper. But it was sort of like there was this in-between place where people wanted something that was a little more affordable, yet they still got that customized help. And so that's why we created Mike. And our next one is opening November 1st. So do go to MindStoryAcademy.com/join to get more information on that.
Cool.
And we will just mention that we have started certifying other coaches in our methodology, which people have been asking us for years. And it's a big project, so we sort of put it off. But now we've taken the last 6 months to really put the whole thing together. And we have a whole system where if you want to be able to create blueprints for people, if you want to run people through this model, if you want to build a business, we'll show you how to build a successful coaching business. And you get like everything, and you get private coaching from us as well as group.
Teaching people how to do blueprints. People have asked me for years, could you ever teach us how to do blueprints? So this is not a Mickey Mouse thing now. This is like, a full-on year-long program, and it's a pretty serious investment as well. But really, I've for years resisted. I've wanted to do it, but just didn't have the time to put it together. But like Carla said, I've always wanted to teach people how to do blueprints, teach people how to be coaches, to be able to do what we do in the world. Because our mission, I know my mission is to blueprint the world. Carla, your mission is to really change the world through stories and through, coaching as well, isn't it?
Totally. The stories we tell ourselves. And the coaching industry is booming. You know how they say AI is taking over people's jobs? Well, coaching is going to be one of those careers that's going to boom because computers can't do that. It's empathy, it's compassion, it's creating space for people to transform their negative patterns and their core beliefs that don't work. And everybody on the planet needs that. And so the more trained coaches there are, the better. And we just realize we want to get in now and help people because we think that we've got a method that isn't just surface. It goes to the deeper part of the brain where it's going to stick. And we have all the tools to help you build the business as well so that you get your investment back quickly. And so we just are super excited about this and because we're going to need more coaches too. So that's why we've created this certification. So yeah, go check it out and see if it makes sense for you.
Very cool. Maddie says that the blueprints have been a game changer. Thanks for sharing, Maddie. because you're in Australia, right? And yeah, in other words, the best investment you've ever made for yourself is blueprints. That's pretty cool. That's why we do it, but I love hearing that. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, thanks,
Awesomeness.
Maddie. Cool. Okay, so thank you for being here, everybody. We super appreciate all your support, all your wonderful comments, and your
Appreciate you guys. We do.
Thank you, Yoda.
And again, if you want to get the book, mindstoryacademy.com/book, or go to Knowledge is King. And yeah, it's a small investment for a huge payoff.
Lila, send your receipt to DaveOC2007. So DAVEOC, Dave OC 2007 at yahoo.com. And then we will get your blueprints to you.
Or you can Facebook message the receipt to us.
You can do that too.
Way.
Yeah, that's another way to do it. And yeah, by the way, for people waiting on those, if you're live, you'll certainly have those tomorrow. Okay, within 24 hours of sending your receipt, you will be sent a link to access your free blueprints. Yay!
Yay! Well, thanks,
right,
you guys. So we'll see you next time.
Oh, Maddie's in New Zealand. Sorry, I was going to say it was close, but yeah, New Zealand is somewhere we haven't been. We love traveling, and our favorite place is Hawaii, and we live in Vancouver, and as well as over in the UK. But New Zealand is definitely on our list, Maddie. So get that country ready for us.
Yes, and tell us how tomorrow is, because I'm sure it's tomorrow as opposed to today.
Yeah, there's someone who's already in connection with their future self.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Thanks, Maddie. Awesome.
All right.
Lala, you're welcome. Okay, guys, keep on keeping on. It's been a pleasure, and we cannot wait to hear how you get on with the book, with the blueprints, and see you at our live events in the future. And who knows, maybe some of you will be our star coaches moving forward. I know we would love that too. So Steph says, thank you. For us and our committee members, and of course Yoda, absolutely. Yoda sends his not only his regards, but he sends you great luck and great vibes so that you can attract great opportunities faster, Steph. So yes, excellent, you guys, awesome stuff.
Bye for now.
Talk soon. Bye for now.